Welcome to Tour de Cons 2014. This is part 2 of our Louisville Wizard World special. We call these specials Extravaganza? I don't know what we're going to call it. But we're focused on the 2014 Wizard World from Louisville, and this was indeed the first one they had. So it's kind of apropos that our first episodes are about a first Comic-Con.
There you go.
I got to use the word apropos. I've never used that in the podcast.
Thank you.
What are you thinking?
I don't know.
All right, well, real quick, let's just introduce ourselves. I'm Rob Southgate.
I'm Martha Southgate.
And we have a very special guest with us, as is the way we do this show. We have with us, special guest, say your name.
Lilith Hellfire.
Yeah, Lilith. Hey, Lilith, thank you so much for joining us. So here's the deal. Lilith is, among other things, and we'll get into it, but she is a podcaster on Southgate Media Group. Mm-hmm. And we are always communicating with each other and talking about things. And she happened to mention, hey, I went to the Louisville Comic-Con. And we went, hey, how'd you like to get interviewed? And that's how we ended up here.
Well, she's also a podcaster on another network.
Yeah, she's a podcaster.
Lilith, do you want to
go ahead. Let's
pimp your other shows?
And what you do, you do all sorts of stuff, Lilith. Go ahead, let's hear about it.
Okay, so not only do I podcast for Southgate Media, I podcast for the DVMPE. I do Aerocast. I will be doing Flashcast when the season starts. I also am a semi-professional blogger. My blog is Lilith Loves TV. If you like sci-fi with a strong female lead, then you would probably love my blog, which is lilithlovestv.blogspot.com.
Yeah, it's great too. I thought you said you were going to do a blog on our site. Didn't you say that at one point? Didn't you say you were going to blog some on our site too?
Yeah, you actually never got back to me about what I used to do.
You know what? I like to do all that publicly. So here we are. Lilith, talk to me after the show. See, now I'm putting the ball at her court. Talk to me after the show, and we'll hook you up with that. We so want you to blog for us.
Cool.
So, okay. So you're a semi-professional blogger. You're also like a Twitter guru, and you're all over Tumblr. And then what are the other shows you do? Flash?
Yep, I'll be doing the Flash. And well, we're still working out the DC Nation Watchtower, which is the thing I'm most excited about for Southgate Media because I love DC.
Yeah, and you did the pilot for that, and it was awesome. I really hope that show really gels. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Martha, have you even listened to it yet?
Oh, way to out me.
So, Lilith, you went to Louisville this year. How did you end up going to Louisville? Because you live on the East Coast. How'd you end up going to the Louisville Comic-Con?
I used to actually live and work in Louisville, and I also have a little bit of family there. And I realized that it was the first time that they were going to be in Louisville, and that 11 and Amy were going to be there together. So I was like, yes,
magic.
Let's do this.
Okay, we wouldn't let you tell us. Did you get to meet them?
I didn't.
No. Did you get any pictures or anything?
Oh, I totally got tons of pictures.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Did you do stealthy?
Yes, I'm very stealthy and sneaky, but I did. But when they come to Wizard World in Chicago, that is my first and probably only stop that I will wait as long as it takes to meet them.
Now wait a minute, are they coming to Wizard World this year?
Yes, that was just announced the other day.
Wait,
we didn't know this. Now listen to this.
You just made
spoiler.
our whole lives. No. You just made our lives.
Our daughter's favorite thing in the world is Matt Smith and Amy
Well,
Pond.
he's not a thing.
Well, but she loves Doctor Who. She loves Matt Smith. We were trying to go to Louisville. We were trying to go to St. Louis, really just so she could be in the room with them.
Yeah.
And we do a podcast called Cuckoo for Who that she named where we talk about Doctor Who. And, man, if they're at Wizard World Chicago, we got to find a way to get her
If she's going to turn inside out.
Yeah, she's going to turn inside out. Well, she said something really cute.
Oh, when she was 5 and we took her to her first Comic-Con, she said to me, what if Matt Smith is there? And I said, and there was no chance because this was a tiny little brand new Comic-Con.
Tiny.
And I said, what if? And she said, well, what if he doesn't love me as much as I love him?
Aww.
It's impossible, but...
No, I thought it was... I just said to her, you might as well learn the lesson now.
So here's how small that Comic-Con was, Lilith. Lou Ferrigno wasn't there.
Aww.
So there's your barometer of how small it was, because he goes to everything.
Yeah, I know.
If we opened our garage, put a sign up that said Comic-Con, he'd show up to do a signing.
Right. So
I
anyway,
totally
okay,
know that
back to
about him.
Yep. Okay,
so that is exciting, though,
well,
that
so
they're
you-
going to be there.
Did you now when you go to these Comic-Cons, do you go to panels? Do you just walk around? What is it about the Comic-Cons that you do?
The only ones that I go to panels for are Comic-Con New York and Comic-Con in San Diego. Most of the other ones, I just kind of walk around, and I like to be caught up in the cosplay and meet new people and get autographs and stuff like that. And that's what I did for this one. It was really cool.
So you dress up?
Sometimes, and I'm working on my Harley Quinn from Batman Arkham Knight.
I know this.
Seriously?
Wait, I know this one.
Yes. I'm working on that
man.
costume, but I don't think
That's
it's going to
awesome.
be ready till July for Comic-Con in San Diego. But that's what I'm planning on doing.
So you go to all of these?
I try as many as I can. The one in San Diego is more for work. The one in New York, because I now live there, is more for me, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one to be on the lookout for.
We're trying. We're trying to get sponsorship to get us to some of these things, and New York is one we've been talking to them. They would love to have us. They want us to have a booth there. It's just a matter of finances. So when we get to the donation section of this, anyone listening that wants to help us get there, listen to that part and donate. That might help us get to New York. We can't do San Diego this year just because there were no press passes left or anything.
They went like that.
Oh, yeah, we'll hit
but
it for next year.
They already told us that they would love to have us, and they said, here's the deadline. Get them in as soon as we make them available. And they actually mentioned to us that there's a possibility of us having a panel, which kind of freaked us out because we're like, what are we going to do on a panel? But they were like, yeah, we would love for you to do a panel. Here's the form. Just make sure you send it in by this date. It's like, whoa, that would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. If we can think of something
I doubt we'd be in Hall H. I don't think they're going to have 6,000 people at our panel.
Just to have a panel at the San Diego Comic-Con, that's a huge thing,
That's a huge thing. Well, and a few places have had interest because of the podcasting network. So, I think the next year maybe we'll be able to have some panels around the country, which would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of people going to San Diego. So you're on the hook now, Lilith. You're going to get interviewed about San Diego Comic-Con again.
Oh, not a problem. And I will actually, because I go for work, I'll have a lot more exclusive stuff to talk about. So.
Oh,
cool.
Great.
Okay.
So, okay. Let's start talking about this particular Comic-Con. One thing I want to know up front is, now this was the first year. You go to a lot of these, and you obviously go to a lot of Wizard Worlds. Was this different, or did it have the same flavor as all the Wizard Worlds?
It was a little different. When I go to Wizard World, it's usually you don't get a lot of people from other places, but because it's Louisville and it's so central, you had people from Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, even Virginia. Mm-hmm. So,
so it really drew from a big area.
Oh yeah, it's central to a lot of places. Even people from the top of Ohio as well. So it was a lot of people really excited. So I would say that's the difference. Where the Chicago one, I never really meet people that aren't from Chicago.
Right. So you might get Indiana,
maybe some Indiana and
Wisconsin.
Michigan.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. But 3 hours, if it's further than 3 hours, no way.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. If it's outside of 3 hours, like Indianapolis, kind of rare. They're probably going to the Indianapolis Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're not going to get as much of that. But Chicago's so big that you have such a huge pool to draw from. So
what did you wear to Louisville?
Oh, did you cosplay?
I did not cosplay, but I wore my Doctor Who TARDIS shirt.
Oh,
nice.
Okay, so you represented in some way.
Absolutely. But I did change halfway through to advertise for my DVMPE Aerocast podcast. I put my Aerocast t-shirt on.
Nice.
Well, we're gonna have to get you some DC Watchtower t-shirt for here.
Oh yes, please do.
That would be pretty sweet. So, okay. Now, are you going to? This is getting outside a little, but are you planning on cosplaying at C2E2 or?
She said she's trying to work. She's working on her Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
oh, that's
I thought
right.
It'll be done, but I don't know. I haven't decided. If all else fails, I do have a Poison Ivy costume that I've been kind of playing with for a while, and it's almost there. So maybe.
Well, we have another one of our podcasters, Michael, who does PodQuest. He was just trying to get into C2E2 with his costume and for the contest, and they rejected him for the contest. So he was kind of bummed, and we said, do the costume anyway, and we'll put it up on our site. So Lilith, offer is there. We'll get your costume shown. We'll put it on the Tour de Con site.
Nice. I'll think about it because I want to be comfortable. I actually plan on meeting a lot of people that I haven't met yet.
Right. You don't want to be like, hi, I'm Poison Ivy. Nice to meet you.
If you could see me under all this makeup and
see,
leaves,
I cosplay every time.
Poison Ivy has leaves.
She has makeup. But I go,
leaves.
Yes, she has leaves.
Yeah, okay, so I know that.
All right. All right. Yeah, I cosplay as, stay-at-home man-child that
Well, you're not
podcasts.
going to wear
That's
your paint-splattered sweatpants, right? You're going to actually put some
Right, I'll put some pants
clothes on.
But that's my cosplay, and I'm really good at it. It's really a thing I'm working on.
Yeah, and the Frosted Flakes T-shirt just really brings it home.
She's painting quite a picture
Poor
of you, Lilith.
Yeah, it's
Poor Martha.
I am living the dream, Lilith.
So at Louisville, you didn't go to any panels. Did you meet any celebrities? Did you go up and talk to anybody?
Actually, yes. The person, because Amy and Matt were like kind of secondary, because when I first signed up to go, I wanted to go meet James Marster and Dean Cain, because Dean Cain's the only Superman that I haven't met in my lifetime.
Okay.
So I had to tell
You've met all the other ones?
Yep, I was a PA on Smallville, and I happened to be there during the time that Christopher Reeves did his stint as Dr. Swan right before he
Get
died.
out of here.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
You know, I would have freaked out if I was you. We were at the Indianapolis Children's Museum, and they had Christopher Reeve's Superman cape there, and I took pictures, made them take pictures of me by it. The thought of meeting him would do me in.
Yeah, even though he was in a wheelchair, he was like right to the end. He was just a class act, and so Dean Cain is actually my favorite TV Superman because Lois and Clark was a rom-com about Superman. Like, you can't make Superman a rom-com, but he totally pulled it off. And so those were the two people that I was like definitely there to see the most. And then 11 and Amy were like, oh,
yeah.
So you actually met Dean Cain? You talked to him?
Oh yeah,
cool.
He is a delight and a joy, and he just really relishes that role.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, I saw him at one of the cons last year. I didn't go up and talk to him or anything, but he was standing there and he was meeting people, and he did seem like just a genuinely warm, happy guy, and like embracing the whole Superman thing. Like, you saw him and you're like, oh my God, that is Superman over there.
Well, there's
cool.
There's nothing worse than the celebrities who get a role and then act for the rest of their lives like they're angry that they ever had to lower themselves. And when you're at a Comic-Con and you're a super fan and you're surrounded by actors who are miserable, it just is it's just sad, you know. And we've seen that quite a few times at these because we've been going to Comic-Con since I've been going since the early 90s, but he's been going a lot longer than that. But we, you know, to see these guys and see them just really be nice to the fans and really be honored that they had that role and be happy that they were placed there. It just makes me happy. I hate when they act like, you know, they're just kind of like, oh, I'm so much better than this, and I don't know why I'm standing here.
But not Dean Cain. So did you talk to him?
Yeah. Actually, I asked him about this movie that it's either out in like special like limited release or it's coming up, and as I told him, I was like, I'm really happy to see you like after all this time, because he's taking breaks in between acting and stuff, and I was like, I'm really happy to see you, like, you know, on the big screen and like really getting back into acting. He just seemed like really, because most people just care about the Superman thing, right? Or they say that, oh, I remember you from 90210, you were Brenda's French boyfriend, blah blah blah.
Right. Well, it's like we met Nicholas Lay from X-Files, and one of the questions... Cry Check, yeah. And, you know, it was great. It wasn't great because there was nobody in line, but it was great because there was nobody in line, and we got to go up and we were just talking to him, and that was actually a lot of the conversation was, well, what are you doing now? What have you been doing? And it was so cool, and actually that conversation put us on a trajectory where we started the Killing podcast because of it. Now, you know, we're doing the Once Upon a Time podcast, and Nicholas Lay was on that. You know, it's like...
He was on Arrow.
He was on Arrow.
He was on Supernatural, too. He played
So we're kind of like the Nick Lay Network.
Welcome to the Nick Lay Podcast Network. Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, so it is really great. I mean, that's something about these cons that I think a lot of people don't know. And I think we've kind of stumbled on something here. You know, you see the big names. You see Norman Reedus is going to be there, and he's hot because of Walking Dead. Yeah, but you're not going to go up and have a conversation with him, really?
Nope.
Because there's too many
Because
people.
security will pull me away.
And, oh, yeah. Well,
I'm a weird
they're going to pull you away
girl.
for so many reasons.
Right.
But, you know, you're not going to have that opportunity. But there are a lot of people that are in that section that if you time it right, you will have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to talk to Dean Cain. You got to ask him a question, and you connected. We connected with Nicholas Lay. We met
Will Wheaton.
Yeah, I talked to Will Wheaton last year, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
He was just sitting there. Nobody was around him. I thought, this is weird. And
Yeah.
I walked up and I said, is it okay if we talk? He's like, yeah, sure. And I was telling him that I was on a Falling Skies podcast, and he was doing the
after show for it. Yep.
the after show. And he was so cool. He was like, dude, you know, Falling Skies is awesome. And we just talked, we geeked out about Falling Skies for a couple minutes. And it was like, you know what? We had a nice little connection there. I'm sure he doesn't, you know, remember that, but I'm sure he enjoyed that because that's the kind of guy he is. And you get that kind of personal thing. And now when I see him on things, I think the same thing. And I'm sure you're going to feel that way about Dean Cain or, you know, anyone else.
Yeah, he made my collection complete. So like,
That's so
I'm
cool.
just really, really happy. But the other person I was really excited for was James Marster from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who he was also in Smallville, and he also did a stint on what is that show? The Missing. You remember that show?
I remember the show. We didn't watch
Is he that
it.
sort of older dude
From
the commercials? From
What?
the coffee commercial?
no, James Marster. He played Spike on Buffy and Angel.
I don't know.
Yeah, are you thinking of James Garner?
No, who's the older guy from
Wilford
Buffy?
Brimley.
No, he's not old.
She's talking about Stuart Head.
Okay, him. He was
Giles.
from a coffee commercial.
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
he's the only one on Buffy that I
No, this
know.
guy.
Okay.
Now was Marston was Angel, wasn't he?
No, Spike.
Spike. He was
He's
Spike.
blonde hair.
Wait, you know what, Lilith? Here's the thing. I never watched Buffy or Angel. I know.
We're
and you know what
working
really
on
stinks?
it.
You know what really stinks about that? We this summer. Well, I think you know it. We're having the Buffy Roundtable.
I
Yes.
was gonna kill you.
I know. We have a little bit of work to do before.
I have to watch it because not only will I get spoiled, but I'm going to feel like the biggest.
You're going to feel like
tool
me.
because everybody writes to me about these things. Like, did you see? Like, okay, so I'm going to admit something here.
Okay.
I've only watched the first 6 episodes of Game of Thrones.
I
Total,
haven't seen any.
Okay,
I
and
don't blame you.
Okay.
I actually loved it. It was like in my wheelhouse, but I watched 6 and then I thought, I'd rather watch it with Martha. And I know she's not going to watch it, but eventually we'll, marathon this thing. So we started a Game of Thrones podcast. This week, the first episode of season 4 hit. So yeah, Zach and Cheryl are both writing like, hey, the pilot was awesome. And they're like asking what I thought of things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So with Buffy, I've got to know something. I know Joss Whedon was involved.
Oh, there you go.
gosh.
I know Sarah Michelle Gellar's on it.
Okay, you know a little bit. Are you
I saw the
fan of
movie.
the Weaverse?
I saw the movie.
I love the movie. See, that's my secret shame.
Why is it secret shame? I love the movie.
It's
It's,
a movie. It's so awful.
it's so awful, but it's great. And you know what? It's got
That's my
the
secret
greatest
shame.
moment is when Paul Rubens dies.
Yes.
That is the funniest thing when he dies.
Oh,
I talk about that too to people like that whenever they mention Buffy, I'm like, I don't know that, but I know the movie, and I talk about the Paul Rubens death scene, and the people that have seen it agree. It's like that makes the movie. It's so awesome.
oh.
So I will watch it, and we will be up to speed. So James Marston was there. Did you talk to him?
I did talk to him, and I did get an autograph. Finally,
No.
he was the
So is
last
this-
one in the cast that I didn't have an autograph from. I am.
That
a
was my
autograph
question. So he was the
collector.
last one, huh?
That was the theme of this trip to Wizard World Louisville.
Was your
Wow.
last.
Yeah.
So whereas when we were interviewing our friends that had gone to Louisville that had moms and their kids, and I said, you never forget your first. Now we're going to say to you, you'll never forget your last.
Yeah, because you
right?
wrapped it up. So, okay, did James Marston have any tidbits of information for you?
Unfortunately, no. Like, I know he gets pestered about it all the time, which was a Buffy reunion. But I was just like, come on, just wink, blink, cough if it's coming.
Something.
It was silent.
Now, do you read the Buffy comics?
I do. The one Faith and Angel. No. Faith and Angel just came out in March, and then the month before that, the next season, season 9 of Buffy came out in February. And I do read all of those. So
it's funny because I downloaded a couple of them because I was going to read them because I heard such great things, and then I went, okay, I'm jumping in on season 8 or whatever at this point. I have to watch the show before I start reading the comics. Because the comics really are an extension of the show, aren't they?
Yeah, they're literally finishing up what his vision started. And because, the ratings were down and that ending wasn't really an ending, but he did it the best way that he could. And he tried to get the cartoon off the ground and all these other ways to finish the show. But the comic book is just like, well, and they also have books that are actually canon. I don't know if you know that pick up where the story left off as well.
No, I never really get into the books on things. I've got enough to read, so
me too.
I read the comics. I even with Star Wars, when Star Wars they did the extended universe and the Timothy Zahn books came out, and some of that stuff I tried. I was reading those Shadows of the Empire and some of that stuff.
Don't they have over 100 books for that?
Yeah, I stopped at about 5, and then I was like, how many of these books are coming out? And you know what's worse? The worst thing about that is once Disney got it, they said, okay, we'll let you know what's canon and what isn't.
Oh,
so people that are way into it, like Jonathan, who does the Radio Free Endor podcast, if he's read all 100 books, now he's got to try to sift through it in his head. What's accurate? What's not? What's canon? What isn't? Because Lucas kept saying these are all canon.
Yep.
And now it's not. I don't really do the books. Every once in a while I might.
Yeah, there's 100. There's no way. I like Star Wars, the first 3 movies. Everything else, I just pretend like it didn't happen. It's not happening.
Well, if Jonathan meets up with you at one of these Comic-Cons, we'll keep that between us.
Yeah.
Because you might get some nerd rage there.
Yeah.
I have nerd rage about everything else that happened, so maybe that would be a good discussion.
There you go.
Well, you know what? I know how to get
That's
your
a
nerd
cage
rage
match.
up. We'll say Marvel is better than DC, and that'll set you off. So
no, that just makes you look like a noob. I'm sorry. Everything that Marvel has done has been a ripoff of DC, and they freely admit it. Thank you.
Oh man.
They admit to it. Deadpool, thank you, Deathstroke. Just gonna throw that out there to all the Deadpool people.
Okay. You know what?
I'm Marvel too now. Don't.
Well, yeah, you went and watched the Marvel movies. Now, okay, there's a question. At Louisville, it's actually 2 questions, so you can decide how you want to answer it. Did you see an overwhelming amount of Marvel or DC? That's part of the question. But the other question really is, what was the overall theme? What were the things that you saw a lot of? Because when on the first podcast for Tour de Cons, they were talking about things that they noticed the days they were there. It was heavily a couple of different things. Was there a theme that you noticed, and did you notice more Marvel or more DC, or was it kind of evenly split?
Okay, so I only went Saturday, and when I went Saturday, it was all Marvel. I saw basically the Avengers. That's all I saw.
Okay, tons of Avengers.
Okay.
It was crazy. I saw a really cool Thor, a really cool Captain America. I mean, the guy had awesome detailing. I saw a really
I wonder if it's the guy.
You saw what?
A really cool Spider-Man, but the Captain America one that I saw was just awesome. It was so much detailing. You could tell that the guy did it all by hand. It was amazing.
I wonder if it's the guy that we met. We met that Captain America guy that had... oh man, you know what? I've got his name somewhere too. We should look him up. Maybe we can put him on our website. But we met him at that little tiny convention we mentioned, and he was trying out his Captain America costume. He had the shield machined. It was metal. It was the most awesome thing. And when you picked it up, it was freaking heavy. And his costume, it was all leather and hand stitched everywhere. And oh my gosh, it was just stunning.
The best thing about it was the helmet, because it was real leather and hand stitched. I was just wow.
I wonder if it's the guy, because that's how his was, and it was so good. If it's the same guy, you know what his other thing is? He has a full-on Judge Dredd costume, And he said his Judge Dredd costume might be better than his Captain America. And I'm telling you, that Captain America was stunning.
Yeah, if it is the same guy, I would be hard pressed to do. I was thoroughly impressed. I will tell you that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to look and see if that's the guy, if we can find a picture. Or who knows? Mm-hmm. So, okay, then let's go back to the other question. So then was it predominantly Marvel?
It really was, but how could it not be? The Marvel movieverse, like, I will give Marvel this. The movieverse that they've set out to create since The Incredible Hulk has been grossing money left and right. It has pulled people into the comic book world like no other.
Yeah.
So I will give Marvel credit on that. But
on that, but the rest of it, they ripped off.
The rest of it, you're dead to me.
Avengers, like, if that's your thing, like, if you're not annoyed by, like, the breaking of canon and stuff, then... yeah, that's your movie and stuff. And, you know, I love that they actually gave Black Widow time. And I saw a really cool Black Widow, by the way, and a cool Nick Fury, too. So, yeah, it was Marvel all the way because DC has been dropping the ball on their movie universe. So,
okay, let's forget Marvel DC. What about the other costumes? What was the other? Were there any that were more predominant, or was it really Avengers heavy?
It was really Avengers heavy, but I saw a lot of Doctor Who. I saw a lot of... actually, I saw a lot of 10.
Yes. A lot, yes.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah,
I think he's easier to pull off.
Very much so.
For a lot of people, Matt Smith is a little bit more difficult to...
yeah, I can see that.
Get a fez and a bow tie, call it a day.
Well, I think
a lot of what our friends said was they felt that it was very heavily Doctor Who and Walking Dead. They felt like everywhere they turned, it was Walking Dead.
Well, I heard if you went Friday, it was definitely heavily Walking Dead. They had 4 people from The Walking Dead. I don't watch the show, but I do happen to know 2 of the actors from other things. Sarah Wayne,
yes,
yeah, her.
Yeah, she was on Prison Break.
Yep,
love that show. And then Scott Wilson. I know him.
Yeah.
And then
it's funny,
also Michael Rooker and John Bernthal.
Oh yeah, Shane. Yeah,
those 4 were there, and so I heard Friday like all the walkers came out.
Well, and Norman Reedus. And Norman Reedus was
there too, wasn't he?
And I did not see him. The 4 that I saw are the 4 that I mentioned, but I think my friend did mention that he was there, but not
he's the biggest draw of all of them. He's Norman Reedus is always the biggest.
Yeah, at Wizard World last year, Norman Reedus was there, and it was ridiculous how many people were in line to meet him.
He's just cool.
He's just cool.
The Walker Stalker thing that happened a couple of weeks ago, my friend went. I should told if you're interested in that.
We are, because we love the show.
Yeah, she's a big fan of that too. So yeah, I'll ask her.
If she wants to get interviewed, we'd love to talk to her about that. You know, that is actually the brainchild of a podcast.
Really?
Yeah, Walker Stalkers is a podcast that started a show, an event. I believe that was the order of it. I think it was the podcast first, and then they did that to expand on things.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, we're not getting into events. We're going to events.
Yes.
We've got enough on our plate, as you know.
I would rather other people do them, and I just get to go visit.
Yeah, but you know, there was a Walker Stalker thing here in Chicago, and we have the Walking Dead podcast, Biters, with Jeff and Kirk. And I was really thinking that I might go, you know, to try to get interviews or whatever for him. And then it was some weekend we had lots of stuff, and it was like, you know what, it's just not happening this year, but I bet in the future we'll end up with
I love Walking Dead. I would have totally gone to that.
Yeah, we had something that weekend, though. And you mentioned Sarah Wayne Callies with Prison Break. You know, Martha and I do the podcast for Under the Dome, and one of the producers for Under the Dome was a producer on Prison Break, and she's a fan of ours. She reached out to us and said, you know, she loves our show.
Well, because we did Falling Skies.
Yeah, but she wasn't on that.
I know. I don't mean Falling Skies. 0 Hour.
Right, and we were doing 0 Hour.
So we met her through 0 Hour, and then we did Under the Dome, and it turns out she was she was like an editor, a producer on there.
She's the producer, and then she's like in charge of editing for Under the Dome. So, but she's a producer on these. So when we talked to her, we interviewed her for Under the Dome for Chester's Mill Report, and we got into a whole big geeky thing about Prison Break.
Yeah, we pretty much talked about Prison Break most of the time.
There's not much better than Teabag Bagwell.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, yes.
Teabag, he
he was amazing. And we were asking all about like how creepy he is in person. She's like, "Oh, he's the nicest guy," and yeah, he's a total creep on the show.
He needs to be going to these Comic-Cons because I would love to meet him.
Yeah, Teabag.
He just did something on Arrow is like the end all be all. I'm sorry, but he literally just did something for Arrow. He played a character called the Clock King, and in the comic books, he didn't actually die, and he became part of the Suicide Squad. And Suicide Squad is part of the Arrow universe now. So, and there's a spot open on the Suicide Squad. So I'm hoping to see Robert Napier back.
Okay, here's what I have to say about that. So I texted to you about this, Lilith. I just watched Arrow for the first time.
I can't wait to. I want to watch it.
And I watched the first 2 episodes so far and really, really loved them. I mean, I was shocked at how good this was. And the reason I started was not because of you. I know you'd like to think it is because of DC Watchtower. It is actually because of the Suicide Squad, and that I know that was on Arrow this season. And I was like, I love that comic. I want to see how we get there and what they do with it. And you know what? 2 episodes in, man, I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
And I want them to do Suicide Squad as quick as they can. And didn't they have a vocal Harley Quinn on there? So you didn't see her, but you heard her?
They used a model for the silhouette, but they actually brought the voice actress from the Batman Arkham series to do the voiceover.
Oh, that is so awesome. Now, have you heard anything? Because you're tapped in. You're tapped into this stuff. Have you heard? Are they planning on bringing her into the series?
No, that was just a fan shout out. And because Batman Arkham Knights was so fresh and new that they thought that it'd be a really cool tie-in, basically.
Okay. Now, was there anything at the con about like Gotham and Flash, or is it still too early for that stuff?
It's still too early for that. I really expect they probably are holding everything like that, like Constantine and iZombie for Comic-Con.
Okay.
San Diego Comic-Con, because that's usually when they get all the screening nights and stuff. So
yeah, they'll hit it big there. I just wondered if, as you're walking around, you're looking at the booths, if you saw anything about that stuff.
There was like a little bit of like merch and the comic book artists that I went to go see because they did stints on Batman. Neil Adams and Michael Golden, they were there. They were really personable and they can talk Batman.
Oh, you got to talk to him. Neil Adams would be one I would love to talk to.
He's so gracious and he's such a nerd. He's such a comic book nerd. Like, he really enjoys his job. He never gets tired of it. It's awesome.
That's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah, Neil Adams is a huge name, and he's one of those guys. It's like I had a weird experience last year it was at Wizard World. I was down in Artist Alley. Artist Alley is just our favorite thing ever.
Yeah, I was going to say that's my favorite is meeting the artists.
We were down in Artist Alley, and I was alone. Our friends were with us. Martha wasn't there. Our friends were with us, and they had gone off to meet somebody or talk to somebody. And I'm standing there, and I look over, and sitting at a table, not like doing signings or anything, looks like he just was walking through and sat down, was Chris Claremont.
No way.
And I'm looking at him like, that's Chris Claremont, like clearly, and like Martha would not know who that is.
I know the name.
She'd know the name, but she wouldn't know who it is by visually seeing him. I've seen him enough, especially recently. I've seen recent pictures that I'm like, there's no way that's not him. And a guy walks up, and I to me it's a little creepy to like walk up. If this guy's sitting there, he's probably pooped out. He probably just needs to be left alone. And 2 guys walked up and go, "Are you Chris Claremont?" And he goes, "Yeah." And they go, "Oh my gosh, can you sign?" And he was like, "Sure." And he just signed something for him and talked to him for a minute, and I was just stood there stunned. It was like, that is the coolest part of the cons, is having that type of interaction. And like Neil Adams, getting a chance to meet a guy like him, that is so cool.
He wasn't that busy, honestly. And this is the thing, it's really weird because Louisville has another kind of Comic-Con, but it's more like dedicated towards Doctor Who. And it's usually right around the time that Wizard World would have been happening. It got pushed back. So yeah, like I guess this was like everybody was out to basically see 11 and Amy and
right.
Oh, and Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones was there.
Oh yeah, our friends really liked him.
Now talk about a guy who, even though he wasn't in Game of Thrones very long, he loves that role. He cherishes that role.
That's awesome.
You know what? He was Conan. Did you see the Conan movie?
No, I never saw the remake.
Okay, it got bagged on by a lot of people. I loved it. I watched this thing and I was like, you know what? It's flawed, but you know what? I don't care. I had a great time watching it, and I thought he was really cool as Conan. Was he Schwarzenegger? No, he's completely different. He actually is more like what I thought Conan. Like if you read the Conan comics, totally who this guy was. It was right out of the comics, in my opinion.
Oh, well, that's cool because I have read those comic books, and that's why I was disappointed with the Arnold Schwarzenegger interpretation.
Yeah,
and it was the 80s.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Well, and even that, if that Schwarzenegger one, it has elements of the books, the original books, but it doesn't really match up. This I felt was closer to the source material, and it to me it felt more closely related to the Alfredo Alcala Conan series than it did the books. I thought it was really cool, but I don't think it connected quite the same way. Now they're talking about doing a King Conan with Schwarzenegger. I'm like, yeah, I'll still see it.
Please.
I groan about it, but I'll still see it. And then afterwards I'll be like, that was awesome! Because I think everything's awesome.
Right.
You know in the Lego movie?
Everything is awesome.
Yeah, that runs through my head every minute when I watch things. Everything is awesome. Except for episode 1.
I was just gonna say, except for Star Wars episode 1.
Oh, I
and
hate
our
that
daughter,
movie.
we've been trying to get our daughter to like Star Wars. Well, he has been wanting our daughter to like Star Wars, and so we tried the first, the original, and she was just no, okay. So I said, you know what, you need to just cave and put on episode 1 because it's got little kids in it, and maybe she'll like it. Oh no. She could barely get through. She was like, just turn it
off.
turned it off
even before Darth Maul dies, because she was just like, I'm done.
But you would think, a 6-year-old
would be
girl would be like, oh, Jar Jar Binks is cute, oh, he's funny or whatever. She's like,
she
just
even thought
turn
he wasn't funny.
this off. And I thought, okay, this kid, but then she wants to play with the toys and do her own story. She said, I just didn't think it was a good story.
Yeah, she loves she loves the toys. And like the story elements of it,
but she created her own story. She's like, that was just a really bad story.
Yeah, so
I agree with your young daughter.
She'll be a script doctor.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe she'll actually help get DC in line.
Funny thing is that's kind of, I do a little liaison relationship with them, and I'm probably going to be working on the Aquaman Battle for the Throne of Atlantis. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh, exciting!
Wow, that's
Aquaman is my guy. Like he's also my secret shame, but not really. I'm proud to say that I'm an Aquaman fan.
She was just quizzing us on Aquaman the other day, trying to have us guess whose pet belongs to who. And
Lilith, have you ever seen these kids' books, the Tiny Titans?
Yeah.
Okay. She loves them.
She has met Art Baltazar and Franco, the guys that make Tiny Titans. And then they also have these books that Art Baltazar does the illustrations for. They're more like chapter books about superheroes and their pets and the supervillains and their pets. She loves
So
these.
she's like, Aquaman has, or she's like, who has this thing?
Yeah, it's endless quizzing from her.
Like these turtles, and that, like, and then who
Aquaman has a seahorse.
He has a seahorse.
Now, you probably actually know it because a lot of these are characters from the books. Like the Superman ones, he's got a horse named Comet.
Yeah,
and people are like, oh, that's made up for this. No, it's not. That was in the Superman comic.
Yeah, I was going to say Crypto's the best known pet that he has, but yeah.
Right. But Streaky is his cat, and Streaky was in one of the comics.
Yep.
I thought that's not Flash's.
Nope.
Because you would think Flash would have a streaky cat.
Yeah, you would think. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
So yeah, that's how we spend our time around here. So somehow I will be brought up to speed because
it's
is
endless
obsessed.
Quizmaster around here with her.
And she loves all DC, all Marvel. She loves all of it.
Now, I have a feeling once again that a very young Lilith was probably very similar with her obsession.
You know what? I've been reading comic books since I was 4 years old.
Yep.
But DC and Marvel to an extent too, they have these weird, murky, convoluted histories.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I made myself Flash. This is how come I'm like so proficient at Golden Age is like literally my area of expertise and stuff. And this is how I became like an expert at it. Like I made myself flashcards about things.
Oh, you're
that's awesome.
That is awesome. Do you still have the flashcards?
No, but you know what? Because it's all up in my memory palace now. Thank goodness.
I wish you had them because I would ask you to bring those to C2E2 so we could
Quiz
test Molly and see
she
what
loves
she says.
quizzes. She would.
You know what? I
love
think we're going to
that.
have to make flashcards
Yeah.
now. That sounds really cool. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about from the con? Any other experiences or anything you wanted to point out? Any news you may have run across?
The thing that I thought was the coolest thing ever was they had this simulator that allowed patrons to like shoot zombies.
What?
It was really crowded though, but I
Oh my
saw,
gosh,
like, they
I would
opened
be
the
all
curtains.
I would be all over that. I want to shoot things.
I want a Michonne, so
Oh, I love Michonne.
maybe if they get a
Oh.
sword one, that would be even cooler. So was it like a booth you
Yeah,
walked
Molly would
in
want to
and-
use a Vorpal blade. She
Right,
just-
right. She's obsessed with the Vorpal blade. Did you walk into like a booth and they were like,
Yeah, it was booths, and then it was the simulator, and like when the curtains opened, you could see what was going on. I was like, "That's zombies! They're shooting zombies!"
That is
and you didn't do it?
fantastic.
The line was way too long. It was
okay.
so crowded. They had it. I was hoping that they were gonna have it at the Yum Center, but they had it at the International Convention Center, which is out by where their old Six Flags used to be,
Oh, okay.
out that way. So
that
yeah,
sounds cool. So that's something that when people go to these cons, they should really seek out because it looked really good.
Yep, definitely. I guess because, Wizard World does like tours, and that was just like one of their stops. They do about 16, 17 every year.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, they're going to be bringing that to the one they do in Chicago as well, I'm pretty sure. So definitely
Heck yeah.
Fun. Oh,
get
I'm
there
in.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
get
have
in
to
line.
get there right when it opens because, geeks like to sleep in.
Oh,
That's
not
right.
now. Now when it's a con.
Well, our friend said that Louisville, that it was quiet in the beginning, and I thought that was weird because the ones I go to, it's
They're
always
usually
packed,
lined up
like,
around the door.
Yeah, they're waiting to get in.
It was traffic. I will tell you that.
But
it
you were
was
there on
traffic.
Saturday. I think they may have been talking about Friday.
No, they didn't go Friday. They only went Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So it was Saturday. They said it was quieter. It could be where you go in there too.
Well,
Very
she
true.
said that they started with Artist Alley, and
That's
so
always quiet.
she said that made a big difference because
Not
they
after
were-
this podcast. We keep beating the drum. Artist Alley is the place to
Exactly.
go.
Well, we love our comic book artists. We support them fully, and we really want people, and not just comic book artists, but all the people who create things off of the characters and whatever. We
Right.
just are, yeah. So we really love to, and actually, Comic Book Day, all that. I mean, we
Oh, yeah.
promote like
We do
nobody
free
else.
Comic book day like you've never seen, and
We get so
we
many
don't have
people
a
into comic
book shop or
books
anything, but we get everybody to go.
because we just are that we're
So
so,
anyone
passionate.
listening to us, free comic book day is coming up in May.
Go
Go
and
get some free
buy
comics,
stuff.
and when you get something, you buy something.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went this last year, and we probably walked out with 20 free comics because we went to 3 or 4 comic
Oh,
shops.
she got, and they were drawn stuff.
But we
for
probably
her and-
bought at least that many,
Yeah,
plus
for
a couple
sure.
of books, and you really got to support.
Oh,
Yep.
the coolest thing I got last free comic book day was the Grimm number 000.
Oh, we didn't get that one.
Yeah, it was very hard to find. I went to 6 different shops. I have all the digital issues, but it's something like, it's nothing like having the hard copy of it.
Mhm.
Now, do you listen to Monroe's Comfy Sweater, our Grimm podcast?
Of course I do. I love Blair and I love Kyle, and they are adorable together.
How great is that show? Isn't it fun?
It really is.
Okay, here's my shame. I don't watch Grimm either. Now, I have watched, Martha hasn't seen any. I've watched, I think, 4 episodes, completely loved them, and it's one of those that is absolutely in our queue.
Mhm.
And when I hear, Kyle and Blair talk about it, doesn't spoil anything. I'm like, I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm good.
Well, you have no memory, so
Yeah, well,
you could listen to
I
it
mean,
and then watch it and
we-
go, ooh.
with 28
new.
shows and all the editing of all that, plus we've got our own shows that we have to watch for things, and then Input Junkie, I'm cramming so much in my head,
Yeah.
I can't remember the details of some of this stuff. So it's all good. But I think that show is fabulous, and I think Grimm is just a great show. I really actually am jealous that you got that 000. That sounds really cool.
Yep. I mean, you can get it digitally, but I one of these days I'm gonna have to track down the artist and have it signed. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much my only reason for buying stuff now, the hard copy of stuff, because my digital collection is like almost a terabyte at this point.
Sure.
I uploaded all my old stuff and like I scanned it in, made it into PDFs and stuff, and so I don't lose it.
Mhm.
Right.
So yeah, that's the only reason why I buy hard copies now.
Yep, I understand. Did you get the Walking Dead Zero issue last year?
My
You said
friend
you
got
don't
it for me,
watch
actually.
Walking Dead.
I didn't even seek it out. I actually have all the Walking Dead comic books up to the latest one. I just haven't read them all yet. I've read like up the first 30.
Oh, you're so missing out. But the reason I ask is this last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes back, they actually kind of did what was in that Zero issue.
Really?
Yeah, because the Zero issue goes back and shows...
Yeah, it's like the prequel thingy.
Yeah, and it shows how Michonne ended up with the 2 walkers and who they are. And then they didn't show it on there, but she told the story and it matched up to the Zero comic.
Ooh.
And it was really cool. It was like, I'm watching it going, oh my gosh.
Michonne is my favorite character ever.
And they
love
actually
her.
made the story they elaborated on it a little bit further from what the comic did. And it just was so rich and so nice. It was great.
I don't watch The Walking Dead. Like, I've been meaning to, but there's so much other stuff that I have to watch.
Welcome to the club, Lilith.
So you understand.
And then I've got you trying to get us to watch Buffy. Now, come on.
You absolutely have to, though. Like,
Okay.
I don't know how we missed it.
I got a
all
question.
Those years.
And this one might get your ire up. Buffy or Angel?
You know what? I will go with Angel because it's one of the few successful spinoffs ever to exist in the history of TV.
That is so funny. Do you know Blair, her dream is to do an Angel roundtable?
Yep. You should totally get her to working on that. Angel is like, okay, it's like Torchwood and Doctor Who. Angel is basically Torchwood because it's in LA, it's in the big city, it's dealing more with other things than...
Interesting.
Yeah. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. Well, we'll have to let Blair know that if she wants to do even a single one shot of Angel Roundtable, that she's got at least one person that'll join her.
Absolutely.
I am not joining her. Martha,
How about Marlo?
You're not joining.
You can honestly watch Angel without having watched Buffy, if that helps you at all. It's 5 seasons
like
that are just so engrossing, though.
You can watch Torchwood without watching Doctor Who, but
how many seasons is Buffy?
It's 7.
Okay, that's manageable. Are there like 25 episodes like X-Files had? Oh, that's not manageable. See, that's what makes it like we signed on to do Once Upon a Time with Molly because she loves that show. And so we were like, yeah, let's jump in and we'll do a podcast. We'll start at the beginning. Oh,
we've got to get through 3 seasons by the time the 4th season starts.
Gosh.
You can totally do it.
We can
not with a
we're
7-year-old.
And we're doing a Doctor Who podcast. Thank goodness.
Well, Wonderland,
Once Upon a Time in Wonderland ended.
Because that was, I mean, we
were doing that one too, and we're like, oh no,
we took on a little too much with our 7-year-old.
13 and done.
So
we're good.
When I hear that episode, there's like 10 or 13 episodes in a season of something, I go, oh, yes, I'll take that show. Okay. But these ones, that have 20 some, like The Killing. Oh, The Killing has a lot, right?
No.
Oh, never mind.
The Killing has 13.
It seems like there's so many.
The Killing is an intense emotional roller coaster. That's why it feels that way.
Yes, I love it, but it feels like
it's tough. Do you watch The Killing, Lilith?
I watched the first 2 seasons, and then I got distracted by some other things.
Shiny
because
object.
Nicholas Lay shows up in the 3rd season.
And now I'm gonna have to power watch it over. I have a long weekend coming up, and that's
there
what I
you go.
There you go. And then the 4th season is going to hit Netflix, and it's only 6 episodes.
Oh, thank God. I mean, not thank God, but thank God.
No, but that's kind of how we
gets to
feel
be too
because
much.
we're like, oh my gosh, we cannot watch and talk about this many shows at one time. But yeah, so
well, that's why Lilith has DC Watchtower, because she doesn't have to break down every episode.
Right.
She can go,
I'm going to talk about Gotham today.
Right.
Gotham podcast, boom, and you're done.
Whatever you feel like. Yeah, we don't have those. That's what we need.
That's
more
what we
original
do with
content.
Enough Said. We talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but really, Jack and I go so far off the mark with it. We talk about everything, and it bleeds over into comics or whatever, whatever it is that we're getting to. When they start all those Netflix shows, we're going to do the same thing with that. It's just going to be on Enough Said, end of story.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
or Enough Said.
The new Captain America movie, and then everybody's talking about that episode they just did, Turn.
It's amazing.
They've already podcasted on both, and it's on already.
Last night, we did a special about Captain America 2. Then we stopped. We both watched that last Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then we stayed up until all hours doing a podcast about that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode and then posted both of them. So this morning, everybody got both episodes on their feed.
That's really cool. Cause they released it early on Hulu. Shame on me, but I did totally watch it, and I was like, oh, "That's so cool that they actually." Unlike the Thor thing, when it was like Thor, I was just like, and then they came back and did that episode. I was just
where they're cleaning up. Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's what I think happened with the Thor thing. I think that it was a misfire because that one where they had Sif should have been the one immediately after Thor because it didn't tie into the movie, but it tied into that universe, and it made more sense. But by having them just cleaning up, it was like, well, okay, but that doesn't get me to watch.
Yeah. I'm a casual viewer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, anytime there's like a strong Ming-Na episode, because I love that woman. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's so kick butt.
Oh, she was kick butting last night's too, wasn't she?
Definitely.
Oh, you know what? She did a fantastic bit of acting in that when she told Coulson that she really cared what happened to him. To me, that the way that whole scene played out, where he was saying, "Hey, you're my coworker, you're not my friend," and she was saying, that how much she actually cares for him as a person, that held so much weight. I was like, man, if she doesn't get looked at for Emmys for that, there's injustice.
Now, does she ever go to the Comic-Cons? Have you ever seen her at any of these?
You know what? The only time I met her at Disney World for some weird thing for Mulan, because,
Right.
But I don't think I've ever seen her at a con.
Okay.
I
wonder if she'll start
this year. If Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. goes to Comic-Con at San Diego, literally.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be there at that because they just all did that Paley Fest. And she is really active on Twitter and that too. I know that some of the podcasters have mentioned that she follows them and she communicates with them a little bit, just not with our show yet. But we'll get her because we're big fans.
You tweet her something fun. She loves funny.
Yeah, she's really cool. Well, I say we wrap this up.
Oh, one more thing that might be house.
Do it.
You like Airplane, the movie?
Of course.
Robert Hayes was there.
Oh, awesome. I always like when they have the throwbacks. Like at the one that we were at in Chicago, they had Andrew McCarthy. And so I love all the, the 80s movies. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Andrew McCarthy's here.
I would have gone up to him and said, surely you can't be here.
Oh, to Robert Hayes?
Yes.
I get that reference. That's like the best spoof movie. It started the whole thing.
After that, they're kind of not funny, but that movie is amazingly funny.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison or a Turkish bed?
Martha doing the lines.
I'm trying to do the lines. I'm turning into Jack. I'm going to do all the lines wrong.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen
that
a
is
grown
cool. So
man
did you
naked?
talk to Robert Hayes?
Yes, I did. He actually wasn't busy. Like, I knew, okay, I'm only 27, but still, seriously, it was a young crowd, apparently.
Yeah. So they didn't know who he was, or they didn't care?
It was like maybe 8 people that I waited in front of. And
I would have been all over that.
Well, you would have walked around going, this is Robert Hayes. Let me draw you a diagram for why you should like him, and go get in his line right now. Yeah, don't give me any gruff.
Let me tell you what the 6 degrees of Robert Hayes are, and then you'll know why you want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
Don't call me Shirley.
That's how we roll at Comic-Con. We just bully people into understanding who they should be talking to. Why are you talking to him? Get over here. Do you understand who this man is?
Right.
That's pretty much me in Artist Alley. Like, every time I take one of my friends that almost none of my friends are into comic books, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm freaking out. They're like, ew, who is that? And I'm like, who is that?
Do you know, at C2E2 last year, I think that's where I was standing there staring at the guys that do Chew. Do you read Chew?
No, I don't.
Lilith, Chew is amazing. It's
about?
Hilarious and awesome.
Is it just CHEW?
Yes.
So, okay.
Here's what it is. The main character has this unique ability that he's a detective, okay? He has this unique ability that he has to eat things, and then he can tell what has happened by what he's eaten.
Oh, it's a foodie book. I would like that.
But it's all awful.
Oh.
So, think about it. He goes to a restaurant and he gets a steak.
Yeah.
He takes a bite and he sees the cow getting slaughtered and everything
I don't want that.
Has touched it and everything. So he ends up only eating beets because for whatever reason, beets don't do this. But everything else he puts in his mouth It's an amazingly good book.
I thought you meant like he would have to lick a seat cushion or something.
It's pretty much like
in
that.
order to
Like, at
figure
one
out
point-
what happened at the
At one
scene.
point, he actually has to put poo in his mouth.
Ew.
And it's awful. And he's just like, I'm not doing it. And his police captain forces him. It's like, we need to know who killed this person. And shoves
Eat
it
the
in his
poo?
mouth.
Oh.
And of course, he spits it all up. And you're reading it going, oh my God. And this poor guy is just tortured. He doesn't want this ability. But I'm making it sound like that's what the whole book's about. That's what the first graphic is about. After that, it goes into conspiracy and all this crazy stuff. Like, that's not crazy already.
Right.
It's a great book. And so I'm at C2E2. I'm in Artist Alley, and there they are. And there were just too many people in line for me to go up and meet them. But I was geeking out. And I went back to the booth that I was at with another group, and I was telling them, I'm like, the guys from Chew are right behind you. They had no idea who it was. They didn't care. And it's like, I know your pain, Lilith. Like, you want everyone to be as excited as you are. And, man, seeing those guys from Chew, wanted to talk to them so badly.
Oh, and I just want to do one more alert. If anybody is going to C2E2, I definitely want you guys to go check out Kelly Sue DeConnick, because her run on Captain Marvel #1 and all the things that she's kind of switched around, I'm really appreciating it, even though it's Marvel.
You know what?
Nice.
I am glad you said that, because anyone that is a comic book fan, if you're not reading those Captain Marvel books, you're missing out. It's like, I beat the drum about those Hawkeye books, too. I think those Hawkeye books are just amazing. This run of Captain Marvel, absolutely amazing. So, Lilith, I'm different. I love Marvel. So take that.
Well, you like both, though.
I like both.
Because we've already established you like everything.
Everything is awesome.
So yeah, that is my PSA. If you're going, you have to go talk to her. You have to get it signed. She's a really cool chick. I've met her on several occasions.
Awesome.
We're going to need a little theme song for you on your podcast when you give those little tidbits, like the More You Know theme song. Just,
Yes.
just listen to Lilith. Yeah, we'll come up with something for you. So let's wrap it up.
Alrighty.
All right, because we will definitely talk to you again, because you're going to all these things, and we'll just keep tapping you, and whenever you have time for us, we will take it. And we're going to be hitting a few, and the next show we have is about Techo. Have you ever heard of Techo?
What is that about?
That is an anime festival or convention that is I believe it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And Jonathan went to it, and he got interviews with people. He said it's going to be very different than what he's heard on Tour de Con so far, but he said he's very excited. He's got a lot of information for us about it, and it sounds awesome. Especially one of the interviews I think 2 interviews are with voice actors.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, and one of them I know for sure. One of the interviews is with somebody who has won multiple awards for voice acting. So that is really cool. I can't wait to talk to them.
I can't wait to listen to that one.
Yeah. So we'll let you know, but we'll have you on in future things too. So that's it. Thank you for listening, everybody. This has been Tour de Cons 2014, our Louisville special, part 2. Mm-hmm. And thank you to Lilith Hellfire for joining us. Listen to all of her podcasts and follow her blog. And Lilith, you were just great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lilith.
Thanks. You guys have a good day.
All right, you too.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a lot. Bye-bye. And just to wrap up, you can find our past episodes on our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at @rsouthgate, and Martha does tweeting on our network Twitter feed, which is SMG Pods. And we will be adding a Twitter feed for this, and Instagram for this show, and all sorts of things. You can also find us on Facebook. Whew, I think that's it for now. Once again, thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you at the cons. If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.